Episode number 77.
And today we have here with us an old friend of mine that just wants to have a nice little conversation with us today. And really, he's down to talk about anything. So, Benjamin Bramblett.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me. And also, I didn't realize you guys had done 76 episodes already. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we barely think about it, but like once we see the numbers,
insane.
like, whoa, that's like a lot of episodes.
It stacks up. Yeah, it's because we went through like a whole month of just each day. We did like a whole month challenge.
But yeah, that's
So it really just stacks up after that.
we did like one a day every day for 30 days. And wow.
Yeah, that is insane.
That's hard. That's hard to do, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just a little challenge we gave ourselves, see if we could do it, and we did. And then we finally like, oh, okay, finally, now it's just Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah.
But yeah, we stayed consistent with that.
Y'all know Joe Rogan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that man's in like 1,500 episodes, and they're all like 2 to 3 hours long.
I know, that's insane.
Yeah.
I wonder how long ago he started, because that is a lot of episodes thinking about it now. Because like we're just at 76. He has 1,500.
He started a while ago.
Did he?
Yeah, a while ago.
I think he started with like doing like just like what MMA, like people, like just started interviewing MMA. Yeah, right. That's crazy. Yeah.
That's my go-to now. If I ever want to find out something about someone, you can probably find a Joe Rogan podcast on them, and you can look them up and see like what they're about.
No, yeah, that's so true. Like I love it because like he goes in depth, and what I like is just he lets them talk about whatever they want to. Whereas on like what's it called, like late night shows or TV shows, like everything's just like, okay, you only have a limited amount of time, and you basically got to stay within these guidelines, But on Joe Rogan, people just go off and they talk about whatever, and I love that. Honestly, he's awesome.
The Kanye one, did y'all see that one?
I watched like an hour into that one. I don't know. Have you watched?
How was it? I haven't watched it yet fully through. I need to though.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
Joe would ask him a question, and then he would talk 15 minutes straight.
Yes, I noticed that.
Ooh.
No, I did notice that. But yeah, so I guess with everything going on, I guess you want to talk some politics, and I guess share your viewpoint with everyone. So let's get right into it. Election day was yesterday. So I guess let's just start with a little prediction. Who do you think is going to win this election?
Dude, right now I honestly am going with Joe Biden. And like it's so weird because when I went to bed last night and when I woke up, like nothing really changed in the elections. Like apparently some people paused. Like they paused counting. I don't know what they're doing because, like, dude, this is like the most important event in the world. And you guys are like, yeah, we're going to take a 15. Like, we're just going to go home and not count the votes. Wow. So, but I mean, it's not like Trump has a lot less electoral college votes. But also, I'm not sure how the rest of the counting process is going to go. So.
Yeah, so I mean, how long does counting usually take? Like I said, I'm politically ignorant, so I mean, I don't even know.
So if this were a traditional election, it would have been over by now. Like like it's 8:35. Like we would have known. But the issue is all the mail-in ballots. There's so many more of those, and they've got to count those up.
Okay. Wow, that's crazy, honestly. And I guess let's see. So who do you think is gonna win though? Like by the end of all this?
So because so with coronavirus, right? This is my theory. Right. So a lot of the people that care about coronavirus that are more serious about it are more left leaning. And so these would be the people that would send mail-in ballots, right? So I think the majority of mail-in ballots that they get are going to be Biden votes. And so I think that's going to get Biden the win.
Wow.
But who knows? It's a toss-up at this point, honestly.
No, yeah, literally. Man, I just literally everywhere you go, you hear a different conversation about, either one of them. And it's crazy to tell, like, okay, what are people really voting for here? It's just, I don't know. Everything's been a mess recently.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the coronavirus pandemic? What's your stance on this? Like, are you kind of iffy about it? Like, is this like what's going on? Because of the, I don't know. There's been so much controversy around it. When, like, it should be straightforward. Like, okay, there's a pandemic, we need to stay safe, right? But then there's the, what's it called, the fake false positives. There's just all this weird stuff going on in the background that I don't even know what's going on with this. How do you feel about
It's
that?
it's a big deal. I mean, we have a like a little ethics class, and we discussed in there like, what's the best way to handle the coronavirus. And one thing I think about is it would be impossible to like completely eliminate it without a vaccine.
Mm,
So like lockdowns can be good, and I'm all for protecting people. As I don't want anybody to die. I got three grandparents over the age of 70, so I
mm,
worry about them. But like, there's only so much you can do to like delay the effects of the virus because it's inevitably going to spread,
yeah.
um, whether people are wearing masks or not. And it's a little painful to see people like walking out in public with no mask, like, or like in like a crowded store, and you're like,
Yeah.
dude, come on, like, I don't know you, you could be from anywhere.
Mhm.
But so I guess what I'm trying to say is like, the only thing they can do until the vaccine comes out is delay it. And
Mm.
like Trump or Biden, either one of them, all they can do is just delay until the vaccine comes out, right? Because then people can get that and be safe.
Yeah, no, yeah, that does make sense. And I don't know. Do you feel like some people say, okay, well, no matter what the government does or whatever, eventually it's gonna have to reach everyone, and we're gonna have to build like our own immunity to it. Do you believe that that's the, I mean, literally what we're doing right now?
The herd immunity thing is interesting because it's been like shoot, what was like March when everything shut down basically.
Like March.
Like, I still haven't got it, my family still hasn't got it, a lot of people I know have never had it.
Hmm.
So I really, I don't know.
And y'all have all gotten tested already and just negative?
Yeah, yeah, I've been tested several times.
Oh
Not
wow,
for the So you know what, not for the antibody test though, because I know you can get it and not have symptoms.
that's
So
right. Yeah.
yeah.
See, that's
have you
so
guys
weird too.
have y'all tested for it at all?
No, I haven't. No.
I've had the antibody one. I haven't had like the nostril one or wherever they do it, the oral one.
Wait, what's the difference there?
That's what I'm saying. Like it looks like you can have symptoms, but you won't show it. But when I had took it, they had said that I had it, but I didn't feel it. Like I had no clue of it. So
Oh,
that's the
That's
insane part.
that's weird. So it's just like
Yeah.
resting inside and
Yeah.
just chilling.
And that's why they ask you if you could like donate some of your plasma, so they can therefore take that and put it to someone that's fighting against it, and hopefully that helps them recover.
Whoa. Okay, that makes sense.
But I don't know. It's insane how that works.
Yeah, no, that is pretty weird. Yeah. What do you
Me
have?
and my family were sick back in February, so we know it wasn't like big in the U.S. back then, but we almost wonder if we had it. So
Mhm.
No,
I don't know.
yeah, there was a point where, like, just for one day, and I don't even know if this is related, but like a random day over the summer, I just felt like very fatigued, and I was getting a fever, and I just felt like, yeah, I was just weak all around. And then the next day, I felt good. It was just so random. And then I realized I was in contact with someone who had, I guess, the coronavirus, but I don't even know if that was it or not. But it happened for a day, and the next day I felt better. I was like, I don't know if that was it. I don't even know how this works, or
Mhm.
I don't know. It's weird.
You just needed a bang that day, dude.
Yeah, right. That's probably all it was.
That's all it gets you, bro. Get the bangs
A
and
bang,
you're
yeah.
out for the day.
For real. What do you have to say to, let's see, the anti-vaxxers, the anti-masks people? Like, do you I guess resonate with them at all, or just not? Like they're completely wrong.
The anti-mask people have some good points, but they take it way too far, man.
Mm,
So their whole issue is like government overreach. Um, you guys know any anti-maskers, by the way?
yeah.
Have any?
Yeah.
Okay. So like they say like, it's the first step of the government controlling us, right?
Hmm.
Well, like, most places aren't forcing you to wear a mask except for private businesses. which are independent. Like the government is not telling them to do that; they're doing it on their own, right? And you
Mm,
can make a choice of whether or not to shop there. So
mm.
I don't think it's a big deal having to wear a mask. Now, if they told me like, so I'm actually not for mandatory vaccines though.
Oh, really?
Um, not for like like polio and stuff like that, but just for coronavirus because I'm not concerned about getting it. So I don't really want a vaccine that's been through like 5 months of clinical trials.
Oh,
So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know where I stand in terms of vaccinations because
Hmm.
I've seen like also like so many posts and they of course they have their studies underneath where it's like okay this is everything that a vaccine includes and I'm just like that seems awful and then you look at the science behind it and say oh no this is all safe so I don't know it's hard to choose what to believe in because like these are things that people want to go through and I'm just like, okay, I really don't know. I mean, I personally haven't been vaccinated like in a while, but I'm still fine, I guess.
yeah, there was an optional vaccine for college
Hmm.
that I opted out on. I think it was like Menja. Oh shoot, I can't say it. Like meningococcal
Uh,
virus or something like that.
Like, what even is
I don't
that?
even know what that is.
Yeah, yeah. Like nobody gets it, and I just opted out of that one. So
Yeah, nah, that's so weird. And I guess with the mask thing too about government out, yeah, that is true. That's most people's stance. It's the first step in taking away your freedom and making you, I guess, basically doing into whatever they want you to do. But like I don't see it at that as that and they say okay well maybe the reason you don't see that is because they're already in the process of doing this kind of stuff because they said this is the first step the next step is the chip
You
and
mean
stuff
like
like that.
masks or
Yeah
like
like in
vaccines?
yeah,
masks,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
keep going.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, like that's the first step, like the mask, and then there's whole conspiracy about next. First is masks, next is vaccines, next is your basically your essential supplies, and then I don't know if you heard of the like chips and stuff like that they
oh
want
yeah.
to put in stuff. How do you feel about all this? Where do you store all this into?
I'm not getting a chip, man. I can tell you that right now.
Hell
Yeah,
no.
no. Have you heard of the
So,
whole Neuralink thing?
what
Have you heard of the whole Neuralink?
is that? Elon Musk? Is that he has to do something with that?
Yeah, yeah. He's coming up with some chip that you can just put right here or something. That's so weird, man. I'm like,
What's the premise behind that? Like, what's it supposed to do?
I
What
wish I
is
could.
it
I wish I
supposed to
could
do?
remember, but it basically allows you to have better. It can make paraplegics like it just really connects your whole nervous system, right? And it fires stuff off in order to make everything function properly. So it's supposed to bring back people's walking abilities or people that the reason why they can't walk is because of some a nervous system, and it basically hijacks that and it fires off electricity in the right way to get everything moving. Apparently way better memory, way better like basically anything like when it comes to neuroplasticity it improves everything altogether in your brain. And it's just I don't know, that's so weird to me that this is actually being created and I wouldn't get a chip personally.
Uh, Me neither. I think it could be a good thing when it's for like disabled people, but
Yeah,
have these people not seen movies? You know what happens when we try to like augment humans, like
yeah,
try to like advance the human race with technology, bro?
yeah.
It doesn't mix. It doesn't work together.
Nah, it doesn't. I just think of a whole Black Mirror episode when I see stuff like that coming
Yeah,
out. Exactly. I'm just like, this is getting pretty scary because like we're actually living that, or like we're entering that phase of technological advancements. I mean, VR is
Mhm.
getting way more real, and now like have you seen this? There's this new commercial that's been coming out. It's like this VR headset and like these two things right here, and it's by Facebook. And I'm just like, wow, Facebook is starting to own everything now. This is weird. Have you seen that the VR headset and things that they're coming out with?
I've heard Facebook is making one, but that doesn't surprise me. I mean, they're trying to do everything now.
Yeah, that's insane to me. I mean, Facebook owns a lot of stuff now. Google's owning a lot of stuff now. Google owns actually like a surprisingly a lot of stuff that we don't even know about. Like they're have you heard of that the conspiracies behind is it 22 and Me? Have you heard of that? Like the DNA testing or whatever?
No.
they collect. They're apparently, I don't know. There's so many conspiracies, and I'm getting most of these from that. Have you heard of the or have you watched the Joe Rogan and what's his name, Alex Jones podcast at all? Dude, that guy, everyone
Well, which
writes him off
one?
as crazy.
Which one though?
I mean, I've watched all of them, and I don't know in what
Uh,
order, but it's crazy.
I haven't seen all of them. I've seen like at least one with him, with Alex Jones on there.
Yeah, have you listened to the one where like he talks about I guess like dosing humans in like high amounts of like psychedelics and making them go up and make intergalactic deals and stuff like that. Have you heard any of that?
I think I've seen a clip of that before.
It's insane. Like he brings up so much stuff. I'm like, where's he getting all this information from? And I don't know, but so far the information that he's gathered, like they've had him on recently again. I feel like a few days ago, right? And they add like some of the stuff he said in like a previous podcast from like a year or two ago has come true. So it's like, okay, where's he getting this information from? Like he just has all these connections and he just speaks out about it, you know? And he's been like, I guess not banned, but I guess they canceled him off his own show and everything. But and now he's just been speaking through the Joe Rogan podcast, and he brings up so much crazy stuff that I don't know, it's insane. What point do you remember watching that was just interesting to you?
What's that?
What point do you remember watching like in a I don't know, that Joe Rogan and Alex Jones podcast that was interesting to you?
The only like super crazy thing that comes to my mind is when he said the chemicals were making the frogs gay. That's like one of my
What?
all-time favorite moments. You haven't heard that?
But is that true though or no?
Who knows if it's true, dude? Who knows? Like maybe there was some gay frogs, okay? And maybe it was the chemicals, and maybe the frogs just were like, "Yo, I'm gonna smash the homie."
No.
But
No, that's so weird.
like I'm really sad to see Alex Jones like lose his platform. A lot of people think he's super dangerous, but the fact that everybody wants to cancel him just shows that they know what he's saying is ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
you don't need to cancel the man. You don't need to take his platform to prove that what he says is stupid. Like just let people hear him, you know?
Exactly. No, I agree with that. Because I mean, if someone like him has all this information that's coming out there, it's like they just seem like some crazy conspiracy theorists. But it's kind of scary how most of the things he's saying like come true, or like it's been revealed true. It's been declassified or stuff like that. I'm just like, wow, like there's so much going on behind the scenes that we don't even know about. And personally, I mean, we're both interested in like psychedelics and stuff. So when he brings up stuff like they're dosing these people and like lost psychedelics to communicate with other dimensions and stuff like that, it's just it blows my mind. I mean, do you believe in like other dimensions and stuff like that?
Not personally, no.
Personally,
I mean, you could. I believe that through some drugs, you could experience another dimension, but
mm,
I wouldn't believe in it like physically existing.
yeah. I don't know. I just feel like there's like a lot of layers to things that we don't even know about. You know, like I just feel like, I mean, you're a Christian, right? So you do believe that there's a spiritual dimension out there, and there's like there's things going on that we
Yeah.
can't see, right? Yeah, and that's
Okay.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that's what I feel like it does. Like right now we're only limited to seeing this, 3D world and
Mhm.
I don't know, through either weird stuff, you can kind of peel that away for a bit and do stuff like that, which, it's pretty scary to think that there's, I mean, I do believe that there's like evil demons and stuff like that going around doing their thing and good out there. I don't know. There's just I feel like this whole spiritual battlefield, you know?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
It's funny that you bring that up because when you put it that way, I guess the dimensions do make sense.
that's what I mean.
And
Yeah, that's the way I like to think about it. Like it's just there's layers that I guess we can't see, and I don't know if that just peels away just a little bit of it.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know.
and there's so many ways to look at that. Like, so my interpretation of that is, the religious standpoint, and there's angels and demons, and then there's so many other ones. Like, there's like nature people that believe like you can connect with nature on a spiritual level, and then there's it's almost like a communal spirituality where like people, it's like you can become one with all like the world and like all the people around you. Like there's
Yeah.
so many different ways people interpret spirituality.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, yeah, that's so true. And I guess like the way I see spirituality is it's kind of like it narrows it down to just one belief, and it's that life, that there's life after death. You know, that there's a spirit inhabiting this temporary body, which, you know, Christians agree with too. Most religions actually agree that this isn't the end all be all. We just die in its blackness, you know, that there is life after death. And so, but then from that stems, okay, well, like what else is going on? Like, okay, there's, you know, Christians believe in salvation through Jesus Christ, right? And then
Mhm.
there's, you know, I mean, it just stems off from everything, but I guess the general basis is that, you know, there is life after death. And I guess different religions have like rules for how to follow through with that or live with that. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but what's your, what keeps you morally grounded as you live through life? Is it Christianity?
Yeah, for sure. Especially going through the stuff we're going through now, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I read a devotion every morning, and I thought it was like it was super cool because it was saying like if you're a Christian, right, and you're going through adversity, like tough times, um, it shows you who God is, and it shows you who you are.
Hmm.
So like who God is being that when you're down bad, like, and when all this crazy stuff's going on, you can really focus on like what God is doing in your life and the lives of other people. You can kind of see the big picture. And
Mm-hmm.
also it shows you who you are. When you're
Mm-hmm.
going through tough times, do you cave in? Like do you give in to your temptations and your bad qualities and stuff, or do you focus on God?
Mm.
I like that. I like that. I really
No,
do like that.
no, yeah, that's pretty good right there. Honestly, is this like, is that part of your morning routine? Just reading a devotional every day?
Yeah, I do. I'm slacking, man. I skip out some days, but
Yeah.
I try to do it every morning.
No, that's good right there. No,
So is
like
it? So what is that exactly? Because I honestly really don't know. Is it just like a page of the Bible, or is it something specific?
So so what I use is it's on In Touch Ministries, I think, and it's a excerpt of the Bible. So it'll be like a couple verses or something, and then it's just commentary on it. So it offers like this guy's perspective on how he like interprets it.
Okay. That's
no,
awesome.
no, yeah, that's interesting. And I guess, see, like me, I consider myself, well, I don't consider myself a Christian, but I do consider myself like a Christ follower, you know. And I do read the Bible, but I also like to read all types of things, because to me it's like same coin, different side. You know, it's just it's all a matter of like different perspectives I like to learn from. I don't just, I guess, listen to one thing. I just like to intake all kinds of other information. Is it the same for you, or do you strictly get your spiritual knowledge from the Bible?
Are you ready to move into the hot take section?
Let's do it. No, let's do it.
Okay, so I've read some other religious texts.
Mhm.
Dude, there's some sketch stuff going on in there. So I don't know. Do you guys believe that like Islam is like a peaceful religion?
I,
Ooh.
I just believe that it's a religion. Honestly, I don't, peaceful or not. I mean, we've seen bad come from all types of religions, but specifically, you're probably gonna mention the Quran, right? And what's in it? Quran.
The Quran,
Okay,
yeah.
hit us with it.
So some of the Quran is, so people try to say like Islam is a peaceful religion, and like I don't understand, like people that follow Islam have not read the Quran. It says to kill people that don't believe in Islam. Like
Mm,
it says to kill and destroy the infidel, right?
mm,
So
hmm,
if you're gonna follow Islam, it seems to me that you would need to subscribe to that kind of ideology.
Mm-hmm.
mm. Yeah, no,
And
This is
yeah,
interesting.
this is interesting. What else do you know about it, or is it just that right there?
dude, I know that they have I used to have some Islamic neighbors. They have super strict like fasting and
Yeah,
prayer
they do.
rituals. throughout the day.
Mhm.
And I don't see anything, there's nothing like inherently wrong with that. You know, if you believe that your religion is true, then you should follow the guidelines of it, you know?
Mhm.
So praying 5 times a day, fasting, stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. It's like,
Hmm.
dang, like I don't know why I just didn't realize it said that, but no, yeah, like when it comes to stuff like that, I guess that's why. Well, like you said, people should prescribe to their religion, right? But then at the same time, I guess we've come to a point in society where we realize that some things are wrong and we shouldn't do those things,
Hmm.
right? I mean, even in the Bible, I mean, correct me if I'm
That's what I was
wrong.
gonna good job. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, even the Bible, correct me if I'm wrong, but like it says that God does punish those that are outside of the what's it called? Is it Gentiles or no? Gentiles are what is
Good question.
Gentiles by definition?
I really don't know. That's a good question, dude.
Yeah, because I just remember it saying something like, or the Bible it mentioned in several passages. You know, I'm not scripturally knowledgeable either, but I do know that it says that God does punish and destroy nations and impoverishes countries and does stuff like that to people who do not are not within God's word. You know, God's people, and so I don't know. When I look at religion, it's like that's why I consider myself spiritual. You know, I'll watch and absorb stuff like that, and I'm most inclined towards Jesus Christ because I mean he's the most awesome man ever. You know, he's done so much, and he really has like he's a perfect example of how a human should be. And so that's why to me I'll follow that, but I'll also listen and read and hear from other people because even though there's some bad I wouldn't expect someone to bash on the Bible simply because there's those parts in them
Hmm.
that talk about slavery and talk about impoverishing countries and destroying nations. I'll just be like, okay, you know what, don't just see it for what it is. Like there's more to it. There's good in there. There's so much knowledge and I guess in the Bible as well as other religions that I just I personally just want to absorb and listen to. But I don't know, Mario. How do you feel about that? Wait, are you? I don't know why I've never asked you this. Are you religious or no?
I mean, I would consider myself a spiritual person as well.
Hmm.
But the thing is, basically, with this whole religion thing and seeing it from different perspectives, right? Because obviously,
Perspectives.
um, if we as a country we were born into a Christian state and we're raised Christian, we see Christian as being right, or whatever you were raised to see, and people that were born in these countries of Islamic and studying this, the Quran and all this, they see this as their norm. But I guess that's when you have to step back and you have to really be able to question not only this, not question it in a bad way, but realizing that you were blessed with this mind to ask why. You were blessed with this mind to see what's not only intriguing about your own religion, but step in to see what other people think. Because I mean, as you believe in the Bible, other people would believe in the Quran and see the points, and they see that
Mm,
they would completely think the opposite of what the person thinks about the Bible. Do you know what I mean? And it would be like
mm,
flipped on each end. And that's why I would like to say that I would want to take a step back, maybe even read through the whole Bible, maybe even read through the whole Quran, educate myself, really feel what is it really like what to each individual person feels right to them,
oh,
or what would it be then? Because it's all up to you really
it's
what you
it's it's
think it
subjective.
would
It's
be.
so weird.
Okay, so you just described this huge thing called like postmodernism.
Huh.
So you guys familiar with like objective truth versus subjective truth at
Yeah.
all? Okay. So yeah, like the main conflict is there a capital T truth that is true for everyone, right?
Mhm.
Or is truth determined by what I see is the truth,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, but
Yeah.
that could be kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see it, but you keep going, keep going.
Well, I'm in the capital T
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah. No, so
Um,
am I. So am I.
Hmm.
okay, but it goes into politics too, because
Hmm.
you can interpret any kind of statistical data and stuff the way you want to, and it could be like, well,
Uh,
maybe this is true to me, but not you. Like you know
Uh,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. No, that's an interesting way to put it because I mean I also see it that way. I see like that there is truth, but sadly because and this is what I believe. Chris, I'm just throwing this in there for the sake of conversation. Is that I do believe that there is truth. There's always going to be that main truth. But because we're in the flesh, because we're in this world, that there's always going to be subjective truths. Like people are going to interpret their ball of truth in their own way, and some people might just completely look in the opposite direction of truth and just follow whatever they believe. But I guess that's why it's our duty as people to help and share knowledge with other people who are, I guess, kind of lost, who are seeking help, because I mean, you're bringing it to politics too, so you do believe that there's one right way to have an established political system, right? Or no?
Dude, when it gets into politics, it's for me it's even harder than religion
Mm,
because you have to consider the effects of like how one system is going to affect everybody under the system, and
yeah.
it may work better for some people, worse for others.
Mm, no, I see what you mean, but I guess,
But
yeah, politics is pretty messy.
politics is, yeah, it is messy. But I'm saying, like, with the religion point, right? Saying that
Okay.
truth is one whole truth, right? That we all believe there is a truth. Everyone should abide by the actual truth, and then people can consider whatever they think truth. But the
Yeah.
thing is, with religion, will anyone ever actually know, like, real actual truth, or do you solely believe that this is my truth? But that's why I'm curious to know who can say which is the actual truth in religion only, though.
Hmm.
Well, when we die, we're gonna find out who
Yeah,
was
that's what
right.
I'm saying. That's what I'm
Fuck.
saying.
I mean, that doesn't help. No, but I agree with that because, like, it's a simple saying. Like, when we die, we find out. But here's the thing: I'd rather die believing in a God and dying to find out that there isn't than living not believing in God and dying to find
Yeah.
out that there is. And I feel like people
Yeah,
should be more open minded when it comes to that. So, if you're spiritual, religious, like, okay, good, keep, believe and also like question your actions and your beliefs and like question these things and come to these conclusions and ask people and come together as communities. But like, don't, you know I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, don't just stay closed-minded and not believe that there's anything. Like, you're on the
Yeah.
right path the moment you believe that there's something out there,
No,
right?
there
That there's
is.
something
yeah.
more, that there's something more than just this, that you will be held accountable for your actions here. Because I do believe in that too. Do you believe in that? Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you're Christian. There's,
Yeah,
yeah.
atheism is kind of scary to me though, and
No, it's
I
scary.
don't see how people live by that because like they say they trash religion and say religion is so bad, and then they treat science, which I believe in science. Don't call me on that, but like it, science is their religion, right? Activism is their religion, right?
Mhm.
They go about these things in the same way that religious people do, and then they say religious people are crazy for following a belief system based on a
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that. And then they subscribe to that only and don't see anything outside of that. So yeah, it's funny how they're saying this about religions, but to their own science and to their own activism, they just see only that and nothing outside of that. I'm like, well,
That
that to
makes a lot
me
of
is
sense.
slightly worse, actually. In terms
Yeah.
of closed-mindedness, because you're only sticking to that, and you think that there's no other possibility that there is a creator, that there's life after death. You just want to see what you want to see, and I mean that's really, yeah, that's not faith, and that's what us, religious spiritual people have, is that we have faith in something that we can't see.
That's what it is. Yeah, faith. Hmm.
Yeah. But I guess going into I don't know, I want to hear your perspective on this, because this to me has been so weird, because I mean, I haven't really gotten the chance. Well, I do speak to a lot of Christians about stuff like what's it called, stuff about veganism, a little bit of politics, just all types of subjects. And based on that, like, they bring it into their religion and say, okay, well, this is what I believe because of my Christian faith. And it gets to a point where I also question, like, okay, Christians, and because, by the way, I was raised Catholic, but then I became Christian like
Mm,
around, I don't know, 11, 10 or 11. And then now I just consider myself a Christ follower, because I don't know, it was just all, it was a big mess. I was hearing different things from all types of people, and I just started to question everything. I was like, no, I believe in a creator. I believe that Jesus was the best example for man to follow. So I'll stick to that, but I'll still read and stuff like that. But my question to you is, do you ever wonder, like, if you or if anyone else was ever born in like a different country, like they're raised that way, it's their paradigm, like their mind is raised to a way where they only see that as their truth. And so I don't know. It's culture, it's religion, it's society. It all has, you know, this effect on people's minds as they're growing up to only see where they're at as their current truth. And that to me is just it gets into a whole kind of mess because, like you said, there's capital T, and then there's everyone's just, you know, everyone's version of truth. So this is why I don't know. You probably do see, yeah, you said you see it as truth, capital T, like there is one truth, and I do too.
Yeah.
But it gets iffy when everyone thinks that their own truth is a capital T. You know, like where, like
That's what I was trying to
I
say.
know, I know. I'm trying to bring that back though, because it's
That was
becomes
good.
so
That was good.
it becomes so messy though. Like
That's why, how do you know, like, that's what I was exactly saying, like, how do you know whose T is actual the truth, right, the capital? Because someone can be raised in a completely other country with, like you were saying, society, their religion, their culture, and think this is it. But you know, there's somebody completely opposite in the opposite hemisphere of the world that could think the same about theirs.
yeah, no, it's so weird because I've come across people too, like they're talking about this and they say, oh no, my religion's correct. This is my God, and this is why you just need help. You know, I'll be praying for you. And then the other person's like, what do you mean? Like I'm doing fine. Like I believe in my religion. I'm doing my thing. You know, it's like okay, everyone has this version of truth, but then it gets messy when they all see their truth as a capital T. You
Mhm.
know, so like what drives you in your faith to like stay strong in your faith regardless of other religions, and like do you kind of see where these people are coming from, like would you think about trying to like convert them into Christianity, or like where do you stand on all this?
Yeah, I think with more education and like really in deep like years of studying the Bible, I would probably attempt to convert some people to Christianity.
Hmm.
Um, but you brought up like capital T is messy, you know? It's hard to get everybody to believe the same thing.
Yeah, when they all
We're
see
never
their
gonna have
own.
Yeah, we're never gonna have the whole world believe in Christianity.
Yeah.
But I also think it's dangerous for a lowercase t because when everybody believes in themselves, you lose morality. Like you can't define what's right and wrong when it's based on what the individual thinks
That's
is right
true.
and wrong.
I believe that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I believe in that because everyone draws their own lines, and but even that gets messy though. So when you say wait, like you would want to convert people to Christianity, that's because you see it as the ultimate truth. Like I mean, you'd have to because you're a Christian, right? I mean, that's your faith. If you don't,
Yeah.
you know, but like it's just so weird to me how I don't know because like I consider myself spiritual, and when I talk to Christian people and I show them my point of view on you know current issues, I guess it's like I express my viewpoint. I tell them all this, and then they all like this is a common theme when I speak to Christians. It's like it always the conversation, the debate, whatever we're having, it always ends with, "Well, it's okay. You know, you'll get it eventually. I'll be praying for you if you want to come to my church, and we'll show you." I'm like, what are you talking about? Like you're dismissing my information, like what I'm saying as just false, simply because it doesn't align with what you think of the Bible. Because
Mhm.
even then, people have different perspectives on the Bible. You know, there's so many denominations and there's so many different pastors out there who just they'll present it to people in different ways. And so I just wish we could come to like a conclusion of like, okay, does this harm this or no? Does this do good for people or no? And you know, it always comes back to, well, you know, it's okay if you're a little lost. You know, I mean, I'll pray for you, and like, of course, it comes from a place of understanding and compassion. You know, but the fact that it always ends that way because they don't want to dabble in the debate any longer. They just say, well, it's okay. You know, we'll pray for you. I'll invite you to my church. You know, the pastor will help you out, and whatnot. I'm just like, what? Like, why did it have to end like that? You know?
Mhm.
It's like I don't know. I want more out of it.
Yeah. Well, most Christians um aren't like willing to do the research it takes to really understand like why the Bible is the truth,
Mm,
because that takes a lot of you've got to understand historical context to the Bible. You've got to
mm,
understand what it like reading the Bible and understanding what it's saying is two very different things,
yeah,
right?
so
Mhm.
true.
So a lot of Christians, like there are Christians that I truly believe like they're saved, like they'll go to heaven, but they believe in the Bible because of cultural reasons or their family, right?
Mm, yeah,
And they're like, well, since I'm saved, like I don't need to find out whether the Bible's the truth or not. I already believe it. Well, if you believe it and you want to tell other people about it, it's probably pretty important for you to understand like exactly what it says
Hmm.
and to be able to make a case to other people.
Hmm.
And you know what? So mostly like, coming from Dalton, like mostly everybody's like Christian or Catholic, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So and I know a few Muslim people, but like they never like I don't do it to them and they don't do it to me. Like we don't try to convert each other. And but it would be interesting to see that because I want to hear why they think the Quran's the truth or why the Mormons think their book is the truth. Because
Mhm.
we
Yeah,
really don't do that as much as we should.
that's
Yeah.
true. And I feel like it comes from a place of just, I'm gonna stay in my lane because I know that I am right in this. But if people kind of, I guess it's a comfort zone really, but I'd love to see that. Like, okay, explain to me your truth and they'll explain to them their truth. And I just want to just watch and listen. Okay, what's going on? What points, like, would you even have points over each other? Like when you're using two different books as your guidelines, right? These two different books, you're always going to speak your true. Like what you say is always going to be true simply because it comes from your book. And then a Christian might always speak their truth because I know I'm right because it comes from my book. So like it's how attached you are to that standpoint, right?
That's straight. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it comes down to less proving the validity of your book to like you'd
Mm,
have to say, I believe in God, my God, because I've experienced Him. Like
uh,
my relationship with Him is different than your relationship with Him, and how He's
mm,
working in the world is more applicable than your religion is. That's I think that's what you would have to argue. But man, it's a journey. Like it's something you definitely got to learn and invest time in.
no, yeah, no.
Definitely is a jury. I would say like something, say basically you're obviously a growing, like you've grown into being a Christian and this is what you were raised, is what I'm assuming. And you realize now you're intrigued in having conversations with people on different religion basis. So what would you say is like from you alone, like just taking a step back and maybe doing research into their book and actually studying what they say and like, okay, you know what, this makes sense instead of seeing it as maybe someone else having to, but you, that's when I say, I feel like we should take a step back, maybe even question what we've been raised to do. Because I know we're heavy on realizing just because we were raised a certain way, just because our culture says to be a certain way, doesn't mean it's the right way. And that's why I just take the step back to question this, not only question it in like, oh, I don't believe it way, but question it in just a curious mindset to know this and even know more about any other religion and be open to what they have to say and not just shut it out because it's different than mine.
Mm. Yeah, I guess that's why it'd be interesting, like you said, to
Yeah.
actually have an integrated discussion with someone, to actually be able to talk and see, like, okay, what's going on? Like, why is it that you believe in that? But yeah, I've seen this video that says something about how the number one, like the strongest statement in a debate that you can make is when it comes to um well, this is what God's done for me. It's like a personal belief. Like it's like the strongest viewpoint that you could bring into a debate. It's like, okay, well, I have established this personal relationship with God, so I know God. I know I felt this way, and so people can't attack that. Like they really can't, because it's subjective to you only. Like you've only experienced that, and so no one can come across that. It's kind of like when people pull the, well, if it makes me happy argument. It's like okay, what else can you say to that? And so I don't know. This is why it gets like all sorts of tricky to try and have these conversations with people. But like I'm glad you're open to even having a discussion with other people, because I know Christians too that just shut out. It was like, nah, they don't know what they're talking about.
Mhm.
As long as we know we're right, that's good. But how are we ever going to establish, a world peace, a world something, I don't know, in order to unite people instead of separating them? Because a lot of
Yeah,
times
I'm a
that's, yeah.
I'm a free speech advocate. I just want to hear what everybody has to say.
No, yeah, that's good. And I guess I have a question for you too. And this is something I like to bring up to every Christian, not just you. But I'm really curious on seeing your standpoint on veganism or a plant-based diet.
Oh, this is dope.
Please tell us about
Dude,
that. I want to hear.
I got kind of, is it green pilled? Can I say green pilled?
Green pill.
You know how like when you convert to like being conservative, you're like, oh, I got red pilled.
Ah.
Dude, I got freaking green pilled because in my ethics class we had to do a bunch of readings, right?
Yeah.
And like nobody can produce a good case for why we should factory farm animals. Like
Exactly.
it doesn't make
Logical.
so like there are ways to, you know this, right? You already know what I'm about to say. There are ways to replace your diet with
Yeah.
proteins and stuff that
Yeah.
you get from meats. And so I haven't changed my lifestyle yet,
Yeah.
but if it was easier to, and if it was something that happened in the future, I probably would, because there's so many arguments against. Now I'm not on some PETA stuff. Like
Yeah.
PETA pisses me off because they just go way too far. But
Mm.
like I like the cows and pigs and chickens that are being factory farmed, like it's pointless.
Mm.
And animals can feel suffering in the same way we do.
Right.
And so as a Christian, right, the Bible says God has given us dominion over the animals,
Yes.
but that doesn't mean we have the right to torture the animals.
Good. Good.
It's
Oh
just,
my God.
and we can kill them and use them for food, right? But not that we can lock them in cages and transport them across the country and lock them up in zoos. So, what do you think?
No, man, no, I'm so glad you brought that up, because my last, it's funny. This was such a random debate I had with another Christian at the gym. Like literally at the gym, we just started talking. Like this guy that I didn't even know. We were talking about, well, the Bible says it's okay for us to use these animals, and if I want to eat, I want to eat it. I was like, okay, well, like, but like, why would God want you to needlessly kill an animal? Back then I understand, because there was a need for it. It was a survival situation. But now we're in a place where we have the choice. So why choose to slaughter an animal when it doesn't need to die? It was simply for our taste, And I talked them through this whole process of like, okay, well, what has more value to you, taste or life? Would you put your own taste buds above the life of an animal? Like you said, dominion doesn't mean that we can
Exactly.
use these animals, torture, just cruel. And he's like, okay, well, it's okay to me, because to me, I want a quick and painless death. They can die. I was like, okay, so like you probably say that you want it to be humanely slaughtered, right? You want it humanely killed. He was like, yeah, exactly, yeah. As long as we humanely kill them, it'll be fine. I'm like, but that's the thing. How do you humanely kill something? It's a paradox. It's opposite what it's saying. You can't, because to be humane means to show compassion, right? Benevolence, and to compassionately kill someone, it's opposite of what it's saying. You can't compassionately take the life of someone or something that doesn't want to die.
Exactly.
So when I told him this, he's like, well, that's what you think. I say you need to look more into the Bible, man, because God let us have these animals, so we need to eat them. And I mean that's basically where that one ended. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, huh?
Dude, all the Bible says is that like we are like we're over the animals, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But we may be over like children, right? That doesn't mean we're allowed to torture children.
Yes.
You know,
I think,
that
yeah,
doesn't mean
that's a great point.
like we're above them. Like so we're morally responsible for our actions towards what's they're called like moral patience, I guess. Because it's our responsibility. Well, that's debatable whether it's our responsibility or not, but we can take care of them and decide what happens to them, you know?
Yes. No,
But
yeah.
so another thing is like the biggest like argument, I guess, obviously the protein one, like, oh, we need this for our body.
Yeah.
Well, there's dietary substitutes. And then the second one is just, well, I like it. I like the way it tastes. I do too. I love hamburgers. I love hot dogs. But is the suffering of the animal worth the sensation of eating a hamburger?
Yeah.
Dude, I was against vegans for the longest time. So you gotta understand, like, this is a crazy thing for me to say.
No,
Like
that's awesome.
in middle school, I roasted the vegetarian people. I trashed on them. But now I can't see a reason not to support it.
No, exactly. No, I'm glad you see that too. That's why I'm surprised that you're actually open to this new idea, because this really is something new that people are. It's really about, again, people questioning their actions, their beliefs. Like, okay, is the life of an animal and the cruelty and the torturing behind that animal really worth a few minutes of my plate? It's like,
Yeah.
and it's like for us, when we commonly talk to, I guess, someone that's still an omnivore, meat eater,
Mhm.
it's like we didn't stop eating meat because we
Because
stopped liking how it tastes. Like,
yeah,
obviously it tastes good, but it takes more than just sensory
that's
pleasure
true.
to justify an action, to justify something that's going on behind the scenes. And so, I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm guilty of that too. I used to roast people like vegetarian, like that's dumb. I need my meat. Even my mom went vegan for like a few months, and I was always roasting her. I was like, this plate needs meat. I was like, this isn't considered a meal, and I feel so bad for doing all that, because now I'm the vegan, and I'm staying strong to that, because it's a compassionate thing to do. And even most scientists have agreed that the vegan debate, because it really is a huge platform for debate. I mean, we watch all types of debates online and stuff,
Mhm.
but the vegan debate is a logical debate. Like, you can't, like, there hasn't been a point that's brought up that can be counteracted, because it applies to ethical and scientific reasons both. So there, if you see it from an ethical standpoint, from a moral standpoint, you still choose the vegan route. And if you look at it from a
Yeah.
scientific standpoint, you'd still choose that, because it's destroying our planet, it's destroying our health, and it has so many consequences. So I guess this leads me to my next question: what's stopping you from becoming plant-based, from starting to
Oh,
cut off those meats, and just, what, I'll do without that one, and starting
Yeah.
that process? Really, what's stopping you?
Um, I have a few concerns with it.
Okay.
So I'm having some dietary problems right now that I won't go into because they're just like kind of disgusting. But so I gotta get my diet worked out to where like I'm like good and I feel better. So
Mm,
after that, I can definitely kind of look into stuff. But also like how cost effective is it? Because I've heard that it could be more expensive to shop for stuff like that. Especially like I'm trying to be on a high intake diet to gain weight.
yes.
So I'm concerned about spending a lot more money on like alternatives to protein.
Yes. No, yeah, no, that's an awesome question, because that's actually those are the first things I was hearing when I was getting into, I guess, being vegetarian, and then eventually becoming vegan, is that it's more expensive, and things will cost more, and you have to make it up in all these higher amounts of food. It's all a lie. Like, once you really get into it, you know what you're buying, because when you sort out a meal has to be balanced, and that's what I realized, that eating as an omnivore, or meat eater back then, when I was eating meat, my meals were not balanced. And the thing is, we have all these underlying health problems and conditions as we're growing up that we don't even realize. We're over here eating fast food, we're eating our McDonald's, we're eating our plates, and it's usually just that meat. As long as the meat's there, you think you're good. You have your meat, maybe you have a small side, but no, a balanced plate is one that has its carbs, its proteins, its healthy fats, and its vegetables. That's how a plate should be structured. And as long as you're hitting the right calories on a vegan diet with all those things considered, it's really not that it's not that messy, it's not that complicated. We've been 4 months to the vegan diet. I've been like 10 or 11 months into a vegetarian diet before that. And once you really sort things out and you know how to structure your meals, it's so easy. And when it comes to cost effectiveness, dude, it's honestly so much cheaper. Like, it's so much cheaper. I mean, when you think about it, most plant-based options are way cheaper than what they charge by the pound on meat. So, you have your legumes, you have your lentils, you have your beans, you have your rice, you have sweet potatoes, you have a whole produce section of vegetables, and protein substitutes. I mean, they're all there. You won't miss the
Yeah.
taste of meat at all, because they're all there. I'd rather eat that than a dead animal, even though it's more processed. But for natural whole food versions of, I guess, proteins, it'd be your tofu, it'd be your tempeh, it'd be even beans. It'd be all this stuff that you can prepare and cook, and it tastes really good. And some people, before I went vegan, I was against tofu. I was like, tofu, ew. Like, why would I eat tofu when there's meat out there? But the thing is, we don't eat animals. We don't eat these meats without seasoning them first. And what do we season them? Vegan seasonings. You have the peppers, you have the salts, you have the seasonings, you have all this stuff. So the same way you season your meat, because you wouldn't just eat a chicken breast that you put in the oven. It doesn't taste good at all. So the same thing with tofu and all these things, all these vegetables. You can prepare them in certain ways where, if you season them the right way and you learn how to cook, which is something else that came out of us going vegan, is that
Ooh.
you can do so much. You can form and create so much stuff out of what you have. And so, in terms of, like I said, in terms of cost effectiveness, man, it's so much cheaper, so much.
Gotta learn how to cook though.
Oh no, it's fun,
Wow.
man. No, it's fun. Do you
Dude,
usually wait what?
isn't like a lot so isn't a lot of that stuff like soy based?
Which ones?
Like a lot of the alternatives to meats and like milk and stuff like that.
Oh, the thing with that is too is like they have like the packaging is makes it so much easier nowadays because when we choose to when we do eat like meat alternatives, it's Gardein, you know, it says brand and most labels actually tell you if it's made out of soy or not. And most of them they're actually transitioning to uh pea proteins and stuff like that. They make them out of pea proteins, they even make them out of you're allergic to peas?
I'm allergic to legumes, soy, almonds. So that crosses off a lot of the stuff off the list for me.
Whoa,
Yeah.
okay. So,
Yeah.
well, luckily for you though, like it all has it on the front of the package. Like I'm just naming a few. You know, I don't know all of them, but like on the packages of all these meat alternatives, some are even made like out of vegetables. You know, I know these patties that are made from beans and stuff like that, and I know like other meat alternatives that are made from like carrots, onions, mushrooms, and stuff like that. And like they make like they use natural plant foods, but just compressed, seasoned, and into the shapes of whatever. But yeah, there's so many alternatives out there, and oh, wow, so you're allergic to legumes, almonds, all that stuff. I mean, there's non-dairy milks out there that
I got
yeah, that's crazy. Did you
yeah.
ever like try any of them and like that's how you realized, or were you just told like from the beginning that you're allergic to all these things?
Peas. I figured out I was allergic to peas. I ate them and my face just like started burning. My
Oh
throat
my,
started closing up. The
oh,
rest of them was from tests.
oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
Wow, so you got lucky with the rest of those. Wow. Nah, but I mean, there's so much stuff out there. The thing is, like, we think we're limited to only the three same animals, pork, beef, and chicken. But there's so much more out there that with just a little bit of research, you can get it down to something so simple and so easy, really. It's really not that bad at all, especially when you outreach to people like like us or like other people in your area that are vegetarian or already live in this lifestyle. It's something that's so easy and it actually benefits your health a lot too if done properly.
So I want to kind of pick your mind on like conflicts of interest because
Do it.
the reason we can talk about veganism and stuff is because we live in like a first world country.
Yep,
Good.
that's true.
But these other countries, like they have so many societal issues going on that they can't even consider like whether or not they can treat animals properly. So like I guess how do you feel like about putting these issues in front of like other issues like civil unrest and the economy and stuff like that? Like, does
Mhm.
this take precedence for you over those things, or do you think like we should put humans um, at a higher priority?
I know. I'm so glad you asked this because I've like this. It's crazy you mentioned that because we've actually talked about I think 2 or 3 episodes ago we talked to an Australian lad, and he was talking about how
Lad?
yeah, an Australian lad. No, he had this friend that brought up an important point is that people like that they focus on food, shelter, water, the basic necessities. They don't have time to think about, like he said, climate change. They don't have time to think about the issues that we think about. Since we're in a place out of privilege, since we were born in a place of privilege, we have the choice and we should take advantage of this opportunity to focus on world issues on our country, on our economy and stuff like that. For people that are starving in poverty stricken countries, they really can't think, they shouldn't be thinking about that kind of stuff when their main priority should be to fill their stomachs, to make sure they're hydrated, to make sure they have shelter, to make sure that they're living to the next day. So I hope that answers that question. I'm not going to put that in front of their face, go to poverty stricken country,
Yeah.
be like, hey, y'all eat plants. No, their main part, eventually I do want to get to no, yeah, exactly. But like I do want to get to a point where we eventually do help these other people in need because here's the thing. When you look, and I'm going to answer your question with science because at the end of the day, the vegan movement does in turn help humanity as a whole because all the land that we're using just to raise these animals, just to satisfy our taste buds is just completely unproportional and it's an awful. Like so much grain, so much field goes to just feeding these animals and keeping them alive. And then, of course, we breed these animals into existence too. So it's like we're playing God with these animals. And of course, there's consequences when you play God because you're breeding them, you're manipulating them, you're genetically doing all this, fucked up stuff to these animals. And of course you're feeding them all this stuff, and it in turn creates waste. It creates land depletion. It creates rainforest degradation. It has, acid rain. All this stuff eventually comes back and bites us in the ass, and we're trying to figure out, well, how do we solve our problems? It's because we're doing it to ourselves. Most problems we deal with, we can solve as a whole. It just takes one person to make that change. That person inspires another person. Blah blah blah. But no, yeah, I do feel like just because there's other issues, that doesn't mean I'm putting veganism like up here at the top. I put it as part of a whole thing, because you do bring up a good point too, and I'm glad you said that, because other people say, okay, well, aren't there more important things to worry about? There's way more important issues. I'm like, whoa, I can be against multiple things. I don't have to pick and choose one problem to be against when I can be against multiple problems. So for me, that's where I resign, because I'm most knowledgeable in that. But that doesn't mean I put that above everything else. I put that as part of the solution, you know, the solution to whatever we're trying to face. Really, I think that answered your question. Or like, what else do you want to pick
Yeah,
at?
you bring up some good points. It's one thing to yeah, it's one thing to say it and another thing to act it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to work on that, I guess.
No, yeah, dude. If you need any help with anything at all, man, I mean, you have me on Snapchat, and you see the stuff I post too. Tell me that food looks boring, bro. The food is good.
It
It's
looks like normal food. It looks like normal food. I don't get though. I saw like you posted something that looked like chicken a couple of days ago, right? Is that
yeah.
like
Nah, I mean,
hot
it's
chicken?
dude, no, it's so good. That's the thing. Like, I thought it'd be like, okay, I have to be so disciplined for this, to be into the vegan movement. I have to like really get my head straight and just, I have to be really disciplined. And no, like, it's really not like that at all, right? I mean, we don't miss meat because there's so many alternatives out there, all different types of protein sources, all different types of stuff that we get to the point where it's just like, dude, this tastes just like it, and I'm not killing an animal in the process.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, once you get into it, bro, it's really just a snowball effect, and we know we can help you out with that. But yeah, no, I guess what else do you have to pick at, and just I guess that veganism aspect, or do you want to bring something else up?
shoot. What else is on your mind?
Let's see. What else is on our mind? We have about 15 minutes here before we have to end, so let's see.
Good
Um,
club.
yeah, I guess just a wrapping up topic is you before the podcast we mentioned that we talk about like anxiety and I guess really mental health. What do you feel like we need to do, or like how much do you know about the whole mental health aspect, or do you know anyone who's experienced these things, anxiety, depression, stuff like that, and if so, like, where do you believe the solution stems from?
Shoot, man. I'm a patient, so I've experienced a lot of it. I know everybody claims to have anxiety and depression, and maybe that's true. But I had anxiety. I'll say had because I had it really bad. It's still a part of my life,
Mhm.
but I can control it better. But I never had depression. Like that's like when everybody says they have mental issues, they're like anxiety, depression. I never had depression as a part of it. I
Mhm.
was just a I sorry, I was just a little bitch. Like I was just afraid of everything. So
uh,
and I had I would have panic attacks and stuff all the time, man. You want me to like tell my story, I guess? Like go is that cool?
yeah, tell
Okay.
us your story.
So it started like back when I was a kid. I had like events that would like trigger a deep fear for something. The first I was like out with my I was out with my cousins at night, and there was a thunderstorm going on, and like we were riding a golf cart, and they love to play pranks on me, and they ditched me, and I was out in a thunderstorm. And so from like age 8 to like 14 or something like that, I was super afraid of thunderstorms, dude. Like whenever a thunderstorm would happen, like I would have to get my parents to like come sit in the room with me.
Wow.
um and so eventually like that just kind of went away because thunderstorms happen all the time. You can't avoid them, so it just became like, now I have no problem with it because I got used to it.
Yeah.
But then I had another event that triggered a fear. um I was at baseball practice one day, and there was this one kid who was sick with like a stomach bug, right? And so I get home, and I remember my dad tells my mom that there's this kid that was sick at practice. And my mom kind of freaked out a little bit, right?
Mm.
And she was like, okay, well, we need to like get you a shower and everything and like wash your hands. And that just like triggered something in me, and it like instilled a fear in me. So I don't have it nearly as bad as I do now, but for the past like 8 years, I had this horrible fear of getting sick
Mm.
and like vomiting and stuff like that. I
Mm.
know it's like a very abstract thing to be afraid of,
Mm.
but it would be stuff where like I would wake up in the middle of the night and I get out of bed and I'm just like this, like uncontrollable shakings, like I'm gagging, and
Oh,
that would happen all the time, man. And it was miserable. It was like the
wow.
worst thing ever. And
Mm.
so I went to a psychiatrist. That didn't help at all. Like, like talking to, I'm kind of a person that likes to solve things on my own. So like talking to another person about it didn't do. I was like, dude, we can talk about it all day, but you can't take the problem away.
Uh,
Like, how are you gonna make me like not scared of it, right?
mhm.
So I'm in the healing process right now, but in the past, it was just like it's really something you have to confront on your own. So this is gonna sound super crazy, but so I had to take drastic measures to beat this, right? Like I
Mm.
was like, I got to do something because when you're like afraid of something, you get super paranoid and you consider every way that it can impact your life. So
Mm.
I couldn't spend time around other people because I would be afraid that they would get me sick.
Uh,
So I was like, I've got to take care of this. I've got to get through this, right? So my drastic measures, I started like uh, getting over the fear of vomiting, right? So I watched videos of people like throwing up.
oh
Is
man.
that not crazy?
That's
Like I would watch videos of people vomiting. Like I would go to the bathroom and I would like make myself gag like I was gonna throw up.
Yeah.
And and this was in high school, dude. Like I
Oh,
consider myself a pretty logical person, but I mean,
yeah.
and it helped. Like I had to like face it. I had to be like, yo, it's gonna be okay if you get sick. And I started like forcing myself to be around people that I knew were sick,
Yeah.
right? And
Oh.
and then you know what? One time I got sick and I was like, it's not that bad,
Mm.
and we live in constant fear of these things that are gonna happen to us. And anxiety just blows every fear out of the water. It's
Mm.
just completely irrational, right? Because whenever that thing actually happens to you, you're like,
Oh, it's bad.
it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be,
Uh,
right? So
oh.
yeah, I mean that's my journey. And I'll be honest with you, I'm still afraid. Like
Mm.
I still don't want to like be sick.
Yeah.
But it doesn't control my life anymore,
Mm.
and
Mm.
and being religious, I put my trust in God. Like I let God take care of the things that I can't control because that's not something I can control,
Yeah.
right?
No,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of my experience with that.
Wow, dude, that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome that you're recovering from that. You realize that you need to face your fears. I mean, what things were the was a psychiatrist like trying to lead you through that just didn't help? Was it really just talking it out and it just didn't do anything at all?
So the psychiatrist, the first thing you do is you just talk to them, right? The thing is getting them to open up to you about it.
Mm.
And so, I didn't care. I told the dude like everything he wanted to hear, I guess, because I wasn't really that private about it, but he wanted to like measure everything. So he like sent home papers with me to like write down the fear. So you'd have to rate like how bad is the fear right now? Like how severely are you experiencing it? And then you would rate like how likely is it to happen? All right. And then it'd be like if it does happen, how bad would it be?
Mm.
Okay. So it'd just be like little exercises like that. And then sometimes we would play cards,
Mm.
but I don't know, it never worked for me. It never had any effect. And for
Mm.
some people it does. So I
Yeah.
can't discount the psychiatrist, right? Because I know it works for some people, but
Mhm.
for me, it was something I had to do. I had to take action on.
Wow. And would you recommend people the first thing that they do is go to a psychiatrist, or would you recommend first they face these fears or face the whatever like the source of their anxiety is? What would you recommend the first step is?
I would say nip it in the bud before it gets out of control. And
Mm,
I'll say this with porn too.
mm,
Um, I struggled with that for a long time, and the main thing is when you see it's so like seeing a problem about to develop is one of the hardest things to do as a person, right?
mm,
Once you've kind of trained your brain to see when something's going to become a bad habit, like when it's going to affect you poorly, when you start to become afraid of something, right? When you start to become addicted to something, you've got to stop. You got to take a step back and draw a line and say, "Hey, I can't go this route."
mm.
So I think the most important thing is stopping it before it turns into a problem. Because then, when it's a problem, you have to look at a lot of solutions. You have
Uh,
to really analyze what you're gonna have to do.
Wow. Well, dude, no, I agree with that so much because the way I view really anxiety and depression is like they root onto things and they like suck up the joy or the pleasure out of life, really. And
Yeah.
and for me personally, I've been having recently like this debate in my own head about, okay, do I really have anxiety or not? And for me, I think it stems from overthinking. And I mean that's really what it is, right? Overthinking, because you're overthinking a situation that it really isn't as bad as it seems. And so I guess early on in my life, I'd use my overthinking for good, and what I recently learned is that you can channel that into either, bad thoughts, overthinking into bad thoughts, and that anxiety starts to sprout, or you can, overthink good things and come up with solutions faster and whatnot. And so for me now, I see it as like, I don't know, it's like a curse and a blessing almost, like because my mind just it thinks like so fast, and I put myself in these bad situations in my own head, and it's all happening in my own head. And I guess that's something that, personally, psychedelics, shrooms has helped me with that. And I've taken it, and it brought that to light. Like, holy shit, I overthink a lot actually. And so I had this
Okay,
choice.
Joe Rogan.
Huh? Oh
I said, all
yeah.
right, Joe.
No, like really though. I mean, and this was recent too. And I never thought I had like any issues. And I'm pretty sure they weren't as bad as yours, where like they actually, like, I guess, ignited a fear, right? Because yours was like, was it anxiety and then it caused fears and things?
It caused fear in every part of my life, and it's the when anxiety takes over, it becomes the main focus. Instead of seeing life as like different categories,
Mm,
you see how you see the fear affecting every category. So my social interactions, right? Like, who in this classroom is sick? Or like when you walk in, like who's sick? Like who do I need to avoid? You know,
uh,
like when you eat, it got so bad to like I would not eat things because I would be like, this would be super bad if I had to throw this up, right? So
uh,
it just like it like dominates. It takes over like every aspect of your life.
Mhm.
right. Yeah, no, that's insane. And that's why I was always, I guess, scared to like self-diagnose myself with anxiety like recently, because like I realized that there's people out there who actually it actually like steals the joy out of things, steals the pleasure of how life should be, right? And it makes you see it in a completely different filter, right? Because like you said, like when you should just really just be sitting down and enjoying your meal, there comes that overthinking, making it seem like,
Yeah,
man, if I have to throw this up, it's gonna be awful. I'd rather not eat it. That's gonna be weird. Stuff like that. And it's crazy. But I guess, would you say there's levels to anxiety then, or is it just like, okay, no, this is where it's considered anxiety, and this is where it's just considered overthinking?
there's definitely levels. There's
Mhm.
well, I almost bashed white girls there, but they actually had dude. Women are like I don't know if you've seen the statistics, but they're like at the highest like unhappy level that they've ever been. So
What?
I'm not gonna diss them, but a lot of people say they have anxiety when it's just like they're afraid of something.
Mm.
Like they're like, oh, I'm scared that I'm not gonna do good in school. like dude,
Oh,
like dude,
okay.
dude, everybody is, like have like being scared of things. So it would let's see, see if I can do an analogy, right?
Mm.
So if you're scared of cows, right? You would not go to a farm. You would never go to a farm, and you would not like You would not want to go to a zoo. You would not want to see a cow. If you did, you'd freak out. That's normal. That's being fear.
Yeah.
If you have severe anxiety, you start to worry about whether cows are going to come to your house.
Oh,
Like,
Oh
does that
shit.
make sense? Like, you start like thinking about how cows are going to affect your everyday life, I guess,
That is
man.
and
insane.
it controls you.
No, that makes sense. So where it's just okay, I stay away from that. It's in control. Like you're in control of that fear. So would it kind of be an out of control fear is equivalent to like that anxiety that we're talking about?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's a good way to put it then. So I don't know. I guess personally too, the way I think about it is like it needs to be in control, right? What measures should be taken to make sure that this stays in control? Like what do you feel it is?
Mhm.
Well, now that shoot, man, that's so hard. Like, I guess at some point, like facing your fear, like if I were to just like straight up, like back then, if I just like made myself throw up like once a day for a week, I'm sure I would have, I'm sure I would have gotten over it. But
Mm,
that takes like some of that's like going to the gym and like bench pressing 400 your first time
mm,
to go to the gym. It takes a lot of mental strength to do that.
yeah.
Um, but it just got to the point where I was so tired of suffering that I had to take those measures. But
Mm,
the most important thing to keep it in check is realizing, like, once you've been through that, that you just make sure it doesn't happen again. So
Yeah.
I've had some triggers, I guess you could say, where I was like, oh, I'm starting to become afraid of this. So I would just purposely um, put myself in like experience that over and over again, so I could be like, all right, it's not that bad, you know.
yeah.
So like are there like exercises you do, not only like putting yourself in moments where you would want to replace that anxiety or that fear with just doing it, but like other exercises that you do to prevent when you see like some sort of anxiety arise? Like are there things that you say to yourself, are there things you do in order to reduce it or to even completely make it feel like it's not even a thing that controls you anymore?
um I'm not like one of those like bloggers that posts like your 5-step plan, but
Uh,
I guess like the best ways, like when you see, we're talking like anxiety specifically, or like any bad thing.
I would say anxiety specifically, but you can elaborate on both.
So, dude, it's almost impossible. Like when you start to develop it, because when I was getting these fears, like I didn't know what anxiety was. So, it's hard to predict it early on. But we should definitely make people more aware about it, because it's going to become more of a problem. Um, so I guess when you're starting to experience like irrational fears about something, you need to sit down and have a talk with yourself, and just kind of say like, hey, this fear doesn't really make any sense. And if you're willing to do it, I think it's super important to just go ahead and expose yourself to that fear as much as possible until you're kind of numb to it.
So like,
And also, like, you need to tell somebody.
uh,
I didn't never tell anyone, and that was that's just the kind of person I am. I don't really feel the need to like burden others with that kind of stuff. But other people, like the majority of people, are like, you absolutely need to reach out to someone and be like, hey, I'm starting to have a problem.
Mm,
It's super important to have somebody that's going to help you get through that.
mm, wow. No, yeah, no, that is super important, huh? Because I guess when you keep it all bottled up, like, and like I guess we all share that common mindset. I feel like a lot of people do is where you don't want to put a burden on others, and at the same time you feel like you can solve it yourself. Which at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it does take you having to take that step, right? But being vocal about it doesn't make it feel like, oh my god, it's only me against all these issues. Like it's like I sometimes you need to vent, sometimes you need to let this stuff out and hear different perspectives, hear different viewpoints. Maybe you just establish a support system around you, And no, that is super important. I'm glad you gave people that advice, because it makes we try to make it make sense in our head, where it's like, no, I need to deal with this issue by myself. Well, what's going on in the background is up to me and me only. But it's sometimes dangerous to just think that way, because you don't even think of the possibility of a support system, of a friend out there that can help.
It's true.
But yeah.
It makes you feel weak to talk to other people. Not gonna lie. It makes you feel like less of a man to tell somebody you have a mental problem.
Mm.
So yeah.
Nah, nah, but I'm glad nowadays people now, like, more and more people are starting to realize that, okay, mental health, is a thing. This up here, we need to do our best to keep this in top condition, and whether it's facing fears, whether it's reaching out, all these things, it helps, guys and girls alike, we have these issues that need to be resolved, and it's sad that people see that as something that's, oh, masculine guys, they shouldn't be doing that, or that just makes them look weak. Like, why is that in our subconscious? Like, why do we think that opening up to people makes us weak? I mean, because it is, right. We're being vulnerable with someone. We're opening up to something that may or may not be the best idea, but like, at the end of the day, it's better for our own mental health, right? Oh,
Well, I'm a toxic male, so I believe in this whole idea of masculinity. Like I like masculinity,
oh
but yeah, like men see women as like the only people that are allowed to use their emotions to express ideas and pain and stuff like that.
yeah.
So if you really feel that way, just like tell another dude, like tell a guy who understands. You don't have to go around telling girls that,
Um,
hey, I have anxiety. Like, am I relatable? Like, tell one of your boys, and they're if you have good friends, like they'll be there for you.
True.
that is
And I
true.
guess, like you say, right, like this guy mentality, and it feels like it gets to a point where it's the vulnerable part. It's feeling like you're at your lowest. You're at this state where you feel like, if I talk about this, they have something over me. But it should really be seen
Yeah.
as you're speaking to them, not only as, but the thing is, something people get confused all the time is, if I'm opening up or someone opens up to anyone, they immediately try to find a solution for that person. But the thing is, it's
Mm.
simply just about letting that person talk and listening to what they have to say, because that helps so much. Because obviously, yes, solutions do help, but that is like basically telling someone to do this, and that, and it'll be done. But obviously, we know it's a hard process to go through. It's a time, it's really mental strength, like you say. And that's why we know, even if you don't give them any solutions, simply being there for them and listening to what they have to say goes the longest way ever. And you'll see how much that simple act of listening impacts them in the most positive way possible.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Like if one of your friends like opens up, and a lot of times with dude, it'll be like like they'll mention it like as a passing thought, because they don't want to like have to sit down have a talk about it. They'll just be like, they'll say in the group chat like, I'm depressed or something like that, almost as if it's a joke, and then everybody will just rain hell on them, dude. They'll be like, oh, you need to shut up, dude. um but yeah, we need to take those people seriously. um as long as it doesn't become like, you're talking about vulnerability. So like the thing with being vulnerable, in my opinion, is you should use vulnerability as a means to get yourself out of being vulnerable.
Mm.
So you need to, like, once you've expressed those ideas, then you're ready to go. But don't be like, you're sad, and you want to tell other people about it, and then just sit there and just exist in that low mental state. You need to use it as a means to lift yourself until you're not vulnerable anymore, until you're big Chad man, I guess.
No, that's good that
Yeah.
you see that, because some people use, yeah, and there's a difference between being vulnerable and being a victim,
Mm.
too, because when you start to
Yeah.
victimize yourself, it's like the only reason you're there is because you're telling yourself that you're there, and because you
Yeah.
want to stay in that same position. Like, there comes a moment where you need to, like, break through that, quit being the victim, and like stepping out, because I do believe that it's all up here. You have to overcome what's the mess in your head. And once you start to sort these things out, it's time to, okay, I'm no longer a victim to this. I'm gonna step up and do what I have to do to get out of this. And a lot of times, that requires getting out of that comfort zone, just being more disciplined, taking care of yourself in a way that you probably didn't before. And so I feel like that's what it takes, just sorting that out and breaking through that victim mentality. Because it really is a mindset where you start to feel like, oh, everything's happening to me. I'm stuck in this place. No one understands me. Things like that you constantly tell yourself, okay, well, that's you're literally forming your own viewpoint when you start to see the early signs. And that's more difficult to break out of.
Dude, it's an awesome thing to be misunderstood. I just gotta say that. Dude, you like people like I relate to Kanye a lot, like, and I feel like I'm like one of the few people that understands him. And a lot of people say he's saying nonsense. If that's how you feel, great, but it's okay to be misunderstood, man. Like you don't have to go out here and fight to relate to other people. Just do your thing.
No, yeah, no, I believe in that. Even after watching it, like you can kind of see more in his mindset. Because before that podcast, honestly, it's just like, okay, this guy's kind of weird. He's a little bit crazy. I don't know what's going on. But the way he was talking about trying to unite people, right? Even starting his church and the choir, that all those viral videos, like he was touching on those things, and the way he explained it to Joe Rogan, it's like, okay, no, this guy actually has a vision for the future of how it should be, and he's dedicated to taking those steps necessary to making sure that it happens. And so, like, yeah, you do get a whole different viewpoint. Like you said, people that are misunderstood, people who are just thrown off as either crazy or as like they don't know what they're talking about. Sometimes they got something better, bigger going on. Sometimes there's things out there that they want to put out into the world and make it a better place, really. So yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Maybe Alex Jones is gonna do frog reform. Maybe he's gonna save frogs.
Probably. He does seem to mention that quite a bit.
For real.
But yeah. Well, I guess we should go and start wrapping up here. We're a little bit late here. But all right.
Dude, I really enjoyed it though. It was a great talk.
Yeah, for sure, man. Is there anything else that you want to throw in there? Any wrapping up points? Any advice that you want to give to the people?
I want to say with the election coming up, man, don't lose your friends over the election. It's not worth it, dude. I got a lot of friends on different sides of it. I told someone who I was gonna vote for, and they said, "Nice knowing you," and that was like the worst thing ever to me. So don't let this like divide us.
Yeah.
Stay tight with everyone.
That's true. No, that's good. Yeah, y'all keep that in mind, guys. There's always stuff going on outside of us that it's gonna try and separate us, trying to make us, into all these little categories. But we got to realize that, we all have this soul. We all have these emotions, and we all need to like reach out and connect and make ourselves stronger, not divide ourselves, make ourselves weaker. But no, yeah, I love that, man. I love that. And it was great talking to you. Honestly, it's been a while since we've talked, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. It was nice meeting you, bro.
Yeah, you have a good one, man.
Yeah, you have a good one.
All righty.
Y'all take care.